What's up, Star Wars fans? Thanks for being with me today and clicking on this video. We are just 8 days away now from the Rise of Skywalker, and it's definitely crept up on me. I was talking to a group of guys. We're all going on the premiere night on Thursday, and it's like, man, it's next week. Like, we're about to see all this. It's all about to come together next week. It snuck up on me, but I'm super hyped and excited. And to get ready for that, I popped in the Force Awakens on Disney Plus tonight and watched it and kind of wanted to go over my thoughts with you guys. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a formal review, but I just kind of want to talk about it, just kind of a retrospective on it, maybe comparing it to Last Jedi a little bit, what we might see coming up in the Rise of Skywalker, and just some of the things we were thinking initially about the movie that have changed, whether because of the Last Jedi or just so much time going by, that either help certain parts of the movie or hurt certain parts of the movie. Before we get going though, guys, make sure you like this video. It's very important as a new YouTuber that anyone that watches my videos leave a like. That'll help YouTube know that people are engaged with my videos and they enjoy the content, and that way they'll push it out to some other Star Wars fans out there. So right now, if you guys could pause this video and hit that like button for me, and subscribe if you're new. So first, I gotta come out and say that The Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie. And I'm a person that likes to distinguish between best and favorite. I don't know where it ranks amongst the best right now. I have to do that another time, but it's definitely my favorite Star Wars movie. In the theaters, I probably saw it in theaters more than 5 times. I know that it was one of those. I was trying to find ways to go see it in the theater any time of the day. I was trying to see it over and over again, and it still holds that value today. Every time I watch Force Awakens, there's certain parts that just bring me right in. I mean, I really love this movie, and nothing has changed there, guys. To me, it just does a great job of capturing the mystery of Star Wars. Whether the mysteries of the Force or just the mysteries of our characters. And we'll get into and break it down bit by bit, but I think the best character to look at here is obviously Rey's one of them, but Finn himself, Finn being the stormtrooper that, came to his senses and just realized, I can't do this anymore, and you see that struggle carry with him throughout the whole movie. He's like, I'm just like the rest of them, I was kidnapped from a family that I don't even know. He's trying to find his way away from the First Order. He didn't really care about the Resistance. He just wants to get away from this life that he's always known. And it's so true to Star Wars that he's not fully just, I'm just going to be all about the Resistance. No, he's already had this previous life that he's been living through, becoming a stormtrooper that he's trying to escape from. So yeah, y'all got y'all Resistance stuff going on over here, but I am trying to get away from all this First Order stuff. I don't really care what y'all got going on. I'm trying to get and do what's best for me. And we see that a lot through Star Wars. That's what Star Wars does so well, is every character we see, they've lived a life through the Star Wars universe, and their actions dictate that. So again, this is not going to be a review. It's going to be something where I hope you guys comment your thoughts on the movie, and just me kind of going through things that I saw this time that either I knew already or just some different things to point out. And the first thing is going to start with Rey early in we all know the scene where those other scavengers are trying to take the droid from her when Finn's looking for her, and she just takes her staff and starts whooping these guys. I'm telling you, guys go back and watch this scene again, and I've mentioned it before. Rey is combat trained. She knows what she's doing before, she gets trained, or before she gets a lightsaber. I mean, she puts a kick on this dude. I mean, this dude goes flying. She is whacking them guys with the staff. And these are guys that are, that are criminal. These guys are trying to jack the droid. These guys, they know what they're doing. They're trained in some kind of combat too. And she whoops all of them. It's very impressive. I bring that up is because a lot of people don't know, and some people, I don't want to call it Star Wars ignorance. That's too strong. It's definitely too strong. But they seem to think that the only way you can be a fighter is if you're trained with the Force, and that's just so not accurate. Whether it's the bounty hunters or the Imperial Guards. I mean, you can be a top-notch fighter and warrior without having the Force, without having Mandalorian armor. It can happen. A Jedi can be defeated by someone that doesn't have the Force. A Mandalorian can be defeated by someone that seems a scavenger from Jakku. And so we'll get into that Kylo scene at the end between Rey and Kylo. I definitely want to talk about that with some retrospective, because I think on both sides of the spectrum, in terms of some people that didn't like how that went down and people that did, I have something to say about it. But let me continue my thoughts on Finn. I mentioned him earlier in terms of just him being a more interesting character in this movie compared to The Last Jedi, and I'm just really staying true to his prior experiences. One thing I did want to mention else about him is that he clearly really cares about Rey. I don't know if it's romantic. I think I would lean towards it being romantic on his side. Whether it's, got a boyfriend, cute boyfriend, or just him always wanting to go get her and rescue her, even risking going back to Starkiller Base, this thing he's been running from this whole movie, getting away from the First Order. He's willing to go back at the chance to save Rey. And I'm not trying to shoot down any, like Reylo or whatever you guys think is going to happen. I'm actually kind of surprised how many Star Wars fans are into like the romantic side or romantic speculation in the movies. I just don't really remember that being a thing, especially in Star Wars. And I feel like there's just more interesting things to discuss and things they want you to look at there. And again, this movie, that Han speech that he gives on the Millennium Falcon to Rey and Finn, like one of the things that got me, like he gives that speech to both Finn and Rey, and they both seem just as interested. And I know that things have changed a little bit, and I guess that's one of the big things I take away is that Disney Star Wars has not been the best planned, operation, I guess you could say. And so I'm not saying that there's been so much that's changed, but we do know that Finn is a character that maybe when he was introduced or when they first showed him to us, the plan was different than where it seems to be going now. And maybe that's the result of, what we see in The Last Jedi, and we see Han give this speech to both of them. We see Finn holding a lightsaber. We see all this, they really trying to develop his character into something. And in The Last Jedi, like they don't build upon any of it at all. So like I'm saying to say, like we see when Han gives that speech, is there room, not saying Finn's Force sensitive, but what if he becomes like a Maz Kanata or a Chirrut from Rogue One, just someone that's a believer in the Force and that has the Force with them, even though he's not Force sensitive. I would love to see at least that from Finn. I think it would, again, build upon things we see in this movie with the Finn character, and it would just fit really nicely. And then for Rey, we hear her mentioning that Luke is a myth. Obviously, she's heard all, the stories just growing up there. Different things we've all heard her say through this movie, just like she's never left the planet. Her little joke about, oh, it's a big secret, who she is or where she comes from. I think that was just funny. But speaking of humor, though, that's honestly, and I'm going to rewatch The Last Jedi too, that's where I give Force Awakens a lot of credit too over The Last Jedi. It's just, the humor is just so much better placed. Like when The Force Awakens tries to make a joke, for me at least, like they hit so much better, like that's not how the Force works. Like I cracked up at that again. Like there's just so many moments throughout the film that I was genuinely laughing at certain moments that they had as compared to The Last Jedi, where some of the humor just seemed misplaced at times. They didn't really fit the moment, when you're talking about certain moments in the film. I don't think that those are the right times to have that type of humor. Luke throwing the saber over his shoulder when Luke is teaching Rey, the ways of the Force, and she, or he pulls out the little leaf and is touching on her. Like I just don't think that that's the right place for that kind of thing. It should have been placed elsewhere. And then watching The Force Awakens again, I think I can firmly say that those jokes would not have been in The Force Awakens in those moments. Like the first scene in The Force Awakens is probably the darkest scene through the sequel saga. We see the villagers get gunned down. He's like, kill them all, and we get to see like the stormtroopers pull out their guns and shoot these innocent villagers. All of them, kill them all, just like that. Just slash down, Lord Santeca, like just, you're so right. And he just takes his saber and strikes him down. Like, The Force Awakens definitely had a much better tone to me, more in line with where Star Wars needs to be. And again, I did like The Last Jedi, but from watching this again and playing Jedi Fallen Order and watching The Mandalorian, again, some of the jokes just don't seem like they're in the right place, and sometimes just the overall tone, it didn't seem right. And I'm gonna rewatch it again. Maybe I won't feel this way, but definitely watching that first scene in The Force Awakens was like, yes, like they captured that greatly in a great way. One of the other moments that really fits what I'm saying here is the General Hux speech. Like everyone knows, seeing the movie, like that speech he gives to the First Order before they fire, the weapon on Starkiller Base. that's a pretty dope speech. Like, he is like enraged, like he is very passionate, and he's fired up about what's about to happen. And anyone that heard it, all the stormtroopers, like, they felt it too. Like, if I was there, I'd put my fist right up too, because he was feeling that. And to see where his character goes in The Last Jedi. Now, again, I think that it's just a difference in directors. I think that what's done with Hux in The Last Jedi, it fits his character. I think it fits for him to be kind of like a punching bag to someone like Kylo, or like someone like a little small rival. But you also, what they do in Force Awakens, they show that he is a general. Like, he is someone to be feared and to be respected in his own right. And I don't think The Last Jedi really showed us any of that at all. I think every time they show us him in The Last Jedi, he's getting kicked down, made fun of, just like like some kind of henchman or something, when he's really a top general. And again, I think that when you think of how he's treated, I don't think that that's right for Star Wars, because even someone like Krennic, who was kicked down, by whether you want to say Vader or Tarkin in the Rogue One, he also had a lot of moments in that film where he was powerful. He was able to show his will and show his power amongst the ranks, that he was someone to be respected and feared. So yes, he can have people like Vader that he's, or in Hux's case, Kylo, that he's underneath and can't do anything about, Kylo and Snoke, but he should also still have that presence. And we don't really see any of that in The Last Jedi. In The Force Awakens, we do. So I want to quickly talk about Rey before we get into that final scene with her and Kylo. Just rewatching again, nothing really new or any revelations with Rey. But it's funny, after playing Jedi Fallen Order, I did see some similarities between Rey and Cal. Not saying, and I'm just going to talk about them with you guys. Maybe you'll have something you think about it. But funny when it's just like when she opens the chest and there's a lightsaber there and she touches it. That's something you do in Jedi Fallen Order. You open the chest, you get your lightsaber sleeves in there. But then also when she touches the saber, she gets a Force Echo. And that's pretty much what that is a Force Echo. She touches the saber, she sees a bunch of different memories, but also she sees some memories of like the future. So it's a little different, and essentially that's what that is a Force Echo. So that's similar to Cal. But then also, you look at her scene with Kylo, and just different points of the movie where she's doing things that are great or spectacular for someone that hasn't been trained or is new to some of this stuff. Now, there's two parts of this. First part is we see, like, I watched the first episode of Rebels not too long ago on Disney Plus, and Ezra just like leaps 50 feet in the air with like a crate with no training. So like we see, like, if you're Force sensitive and you're gifted like that and you've grown up, you're probably doing a bunch of special things. I know from the Phantom Menace novelization, Anakin was doing incredible things as a youth, and if he'd have grown up even more, I'm sure there'd been more incredible things. Really, the only one we don't see do this is someone like Luke. And maybe there was some more in New Hope that I'm just not remembering, but we don't really see him do anything miraculous. The other part of that, though, is what we see with Cal, is that as he's growing and getting back in tune with the Force, he starts remembering things. He started to remember how to pull, started remembering how to push, how to Jedi flip. And just thinking back to initially maybe the first month in The Force Awakens, one of the popular things is that Rey was like, her memory was wiped, and that she couldn't remember her abilities. And then slowly as the movie went on, she started remembering certain things. And I can't lie, like, after playing Jedi Fallen Order and watching it again, it does kind of have that vibe, like where she is like remembering things, or like she that she just knows what's going on, whether it's the mind trick or just certain things. Like, okay, maybe like when she's fighting Kylo, like the Force, and she like thinks about it and it comes in. It's almost as if like, oh, like that's right, like the Force. So again, I really do think that since JJ's doing this final film, they're gonna do a good job. Like it definitely seems like they have a way that they can close it out. Again, I want to rewatch The Last Jedi again, but I see how there's different things they can do with Rey. Some people think she may be a clone. Obviously from what we think now, she's a nobody, quote unquote, but she is somebody. But just watching this again, it did like add to the mission. The Force Awakens makes you really feel that she is something special, or like there's something with her. And The Last Jedi tries to sweep that under the rug, but I think it's done in a way where Kylo is just trying to get what he wants, and then they're going to leave it to this last movie to really end it off, and we find out what her true purpose is, whether she came from somebody or came from somewhere. We'll really find out what that all means. All right, so lastly, let's talk about that final battle, which we've all know what happened. We've seen it so many different times. I think, again, just one of the things I want to say is that watching it over, Kylo is clearly, not at his best. We all know he took the blaster from Chewie to the side, and we've all heard that talked about again, how he's really, really weakened by that and slowed down. Even just taking out Han there, you can see that he did not want to do that, but he knew, from Snoke and just becoming what he thinks he's supposed to be, that he had to do it, and he does it. And and then he gets shot, and he's weak there. But during the fight, there's a moment where they're like in a trench, and Rey is running out and running up the hill, like in here, and Kylo is just like slowly trying to get up through here, like he's not jumping or like catching it down. He's clearly like having to just like do whatever he can to get and catch up to her. Clearly, just not at his best. I think seeing now is like, yeah, like he's not at his best there. But still, though, I think that I know I definitely haven't ever had like a big problem with it, and I don't think that I do. But it would be nice to know what happened with Rey there when she hears Force and she just closes her eyes and thinks about the Force and is able to overcome them. Like, what happened in that moment? Maybe it's in the novelization, or maybe I heard about what happened in the novelization about that. I just can't remember. If put it in the comments below. But watching it again, I couldn't really make sense of that, even with having so much more knowledge now about everything going around this movie. That still didn't make sense to me, how she heard Force, just thought about it, brought it in, and then just started, you know what? There is one explanation, and that's if somehow like she just tapped into the dark side, because after she does that, she starts slashing, like she's very aggressive with her saber, going after Kylo, like we see when a lot of dark side or people tap into the dark side, they become much more aggressive and just they're going after it. So maybe that's it. Maybe that plays into what we may see in the Rise of Skywalker, because I think that's where I'm going to go, other than just things that we thought about before, is that maybe she did, tap into the dark side. We see in the trailer the dark side Rey, and just that she's mad about something in the Rise of Skywalker trailer. So maybe that was her just tapping into the dark side temporarily, and she was able to best Kylo in that moment, because again, she drops his ass. Like, that was also, weird to see, like, she drops him, like she defeats him, he is helpless. Like, it's crazy how she does that to him. But again, this is my favorite Star Wars movie. I wasn't really trying to give a review for it. Just kind of wanted to talk about some things and compare it to The Last Jedi a little bit. Just talk about some things that may be interesting as we get ready for the Rise of Skywalker coming up. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Look out for a Last Jedi video as well. It's going to be similar to this, just getting ready for the Rise of Skywalker, probably this weekend, early next week. And then next week we got the movie. So make sure you guys subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. All right.